A very pleasant good afternoon and welcome into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show.
Hello.
This dude over here is the aforementioned Goon.
Hello.
I'm the aforementioned Ironhead, and we do this little show Tuesdays and Thursdays here at Quaker Steak Lube from 3 to 5. We just sit around and talk about sports and pretty much anything else that comes into our mind. So
this is true.
Sit back and enjoy.
You know what, Jeff?
Or, turn the channel. Yeah.
You know what? We're actually pretty good at it, too.
Yeah.
Talking about nothing.
I'll go with that. Yeah, Seinfeld would be, absolutely proud.
It's just an absolute show about nothing whatsoever.
That's pretty much
it. You a Seinfeld guy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, speaking of talking about nothing, I mean, it's on TBS and Comedy Central now, so they're starting to, you're seeing it a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm getting back into it, wow, I forgot how good this show was. And it was unbelievable. But Jerry, it's so well put together that it's the other characters that make the show. It's not Jerry. It's not Jerry at all. But it's Kramer, it's George, Elaine, those four. But it's the Costanza's parents and Jerry's parents and Uncle Leo. I mean, every character, Putty. It was just an unbelievably well done show, and how they always used to bring everything in and stuff like that. But we had some horrible, horrible, horrible fashion trends in the 90s, didn't we? My Lord.
This is true, although I feel like every generation, look back and it's like, what were we? So I feel like we're going to look back 10 years from now and what were we thinking there? But who knows? Lots to get into today. So let me start with our trip to Pittsburgh and
Friday night
and the adventures of the beloved Pirates. So first of all, let's start with I do think the Pirates have the makings of what could be an outstanding staff. Starting pitching staff. Jared Jones looks like the real deal. Obviously, Paul Skeens, one start in, looks like the real deal. The one thing with Skeens, I will say I am concerned about, and they were, and now I'm not sure, I think they might have actually been discussing this on the Pirates, on the rain delay, talk show part of the broadcast during Skeen's debut on Saturday. But one of the concerns, and I share it, is when you have a guy that throws that hard, and it is different when you get to the major leagues. And that's one of the things they were talking about during the delay is high school and college and minor league baseball are different than the majors. It's just a different level across the board, but even the way you throw the ball. And the concern is that when you're throwing that hard, like the human body isn't designed. We talk about this with football from time to time, like the human body isn't designed to endure hits from guys that run 4.5 40s and weigh 250 pounds. Like, that is not a normal collision that the human body is built to experience. Much the same way, the human arm, and I get Skeens and many of the major league pitchers, this is what they train for. Your arm still isn't supposed to do what those guys do.
Yep.
And hold up. Again, 17 pitches in Skeen's debut on Saturday were 100 miles an hour or faster. The concern, and I share it, expressed on the show, was, does that hold up long term, or is it just a matter of time before, that shoulder gives out? And now, with the reconstructive surgery that occurs now, yes, maybe it comes back stronger,
that's a whole season
better.
Now.
But yes, at some point, the point was the likelihood is, and I agree with it. I think it is more a likelihood than a possibility that, you're out for a while with one of your star pitchers.
Which,
setting that aside, go ahead.
No, I mean, look at me and you growing up. Okay, Nolan Ryan's an absolute anomaly.
Yeah.
He's the absolute anomaly because there was a guy with him, J.R. Richards. Remember him?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He would fireball or blow, had a stroke on the mount done. You know, as we got older, Kerry Wood came into the league, and then you had Steven Strasburg, who both, they're just like Skeens, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just absolute fireball power pitchers that it just doesn't register. Something's going to give.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that stinks because, you know, how many times they gave Strasburg that $150 million deal and they got like 4 good seasons out of him out of 10 maybe?
Yep.
I mean, is that the route they want to go with Schemes? Are they going to pitch count them? It always goes back to, like, you know, me and Fitz talk about this. So, like, why were there no ankle injuries and foot injuries in the 50s and 60s playing basketball? Because you had no protection on your ankles. You had Chuck Taylors, remember? But what did you do? You built the muscles up around them because you played basketball all the time. And now you have these shoes that you don't have to build the muscles up around it because the shoes do it. But if the shoes give away, your ankle or your foot goes. So is it baseball? Is it like, well, what does Nolan Ryan have that these guys don't? What did he do growing up? And he wasn't pitching. I don't know. Again, no, maybe Nolan Ryan's the anomaly here, but, you know, is there a thing where younger pitchers, you don't want to pitch as much? Because I have friends I have a guy down in Florida who you met. His son plays baseball, and he's the one who tells me he's on a significant pitch count. I will not let him pitch this and that because, you know, you play down in the South, you play year-round. You know, and the human arm is not supposed to be pitching year-round, in my opinion. Right? I mean, is that how you feel too?
Yes.
I mean, and then he tells me, he goes, look at Major League Baseball. He goes, you know, like 75% of the relievers in Major League Baseball are from north of the Mason-Dixon line that are American. Are from the north of the Mason-Dixon line. And I'm like, wow. And he goes, why? And he goes, because they're not pitching year-round. You know, and then Johnny Broom, who was a baseball pitcher in the minor league system, we were talking the other day, and, you know, he showed me a picture. I don't know who it was, but, you know, it looked like Doc Good. Remember that cover of Sports Illustrated? His arm was so cocked back.
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal. That's not something. My arm literally can't even go past it. I'm trying to show you.
Speaking of not normal.
No, but it's just like, wow. But, and then, you know, people saying that the guy's arms are getting blasted and worn out so quick nowadays is because every pitch is as hard as you could possibly throw. There's no more like, you know, you got to hit corners at 92 miles an hour like Greg Maddux used to constantly do. You know, so it's like Johnny said, he goes, every pitch, full velocity, full arm strength, and this and that, and guys just wear out.
Yeah.
So it's going to change baseball eventually because it's like you're going to have to start building up bigger,
well,
allowing more guys on the team in the bullpen.
So that was one of the funny things. So I'm listening to the Pirates talk during the rain delay. This is on Saturday. And that is another thing that came up. I think it might have been the first caller, actually. Is like, I think Derek Shelton should have been fired mid-game because why would you pull Skeens? And then look what happened. And but to your point, so he had already, I'll have to go back and look. I forget what the pitch count was, but I mean, he was at 80 going into, I think, the inning that they ended up taking him out after. So, like, I think it made sense. And actually, I mean, what happened with the bullpen is pretty much inexplicable. I've never seen that in a Major League Baseball game that I recall. 17 consecutive pitches in a Major League game where they are all out of the strike zone and none of them induce a swing. 17 consecutive pitches. You had a hit, and this comes after 2 strikeouts. You come in, you get 2 strikeouts, and then you hit a batter, and then 16 consecutive balls.
I'm waiting for Harry Doyle to be doing the calling, ball 16.
You walk in 4 runs. It is, I mean, it's just insane.
And then you win the game.
And then they do end up ultimately winning the game.
That. What a game, man.
The rain delay. Anyways, we go down on Friday night. Jared Jones and Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller, right? That is the makings of a pretty doggone good 1-2-3 punch for your starting rotation. And So we go down. Jones has a great start. Bullpen blows it. Pirates lose the game. We have not seen a Pirates win. I think that was our 5th game we've seen since the pandemic, and have yet to see a victory. We end up staying over Friday night into Saturday, and did some, actually went to the National Aviary, which is really cool in Pittsburgh. If you're ever looking for something to do in Pittsburgh, the National Aviary is phenomenal. We also there's a place called the Putt Shack, and it's there are 4 different courses in there. They are all 9-hole mini golf courses, but it's all electronic, and it's more like almost like a video game feel to it. So you each take a turn. So you putt until you get your ball in, then the next person goes, and because they're keeping track of it. It was, anyways, a lot of fun, really cool. But I'm watching Skeen's debut during that, and there's part of me as a Pirates fan that I'm like, man, I think they could really become something here. I don't know necessarily this season, but right, you can see this thing. If Key Brian Hayes is healthy, if O'Neal Cruz is healthy, like there are some pieces here that are starting to come together. If Brian Reynolds can break out of his recent slump, and last night would count as a breakout night, 5 for 5, couple of doubles and a home run, that'll work just fine. Thank you. There are some pieces there. Obviously, the bullpen has to be much better and much more consistent, and the hitting has to be tons better and tons more consistent. But maybe the optimistic me is saying maybe this is building into something that could at least resemble a contender in the relatively near future. By the way, Todd checking in. Ola from Riviera Maya, Mexico. Do I win the award for the farthest viewer?
You do, Todd. You win a lot of awards.
I'm saying yes.
You won another award for that comment, by the way, but I can't say it on the air, Todd. No, that's my guy. He's enjoying himself down there. He deserves it, and I love that place. This time of year, it's beautiful right now. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So, I mean, what is what is an aviary? What is
it's a bird
sanctuary type of thing?
So there's 2 inside there's kind of 2 big rooms, and they have, the one is like tropical birds, so there's like toucans and flamingos and that sort of stuff.
Are they caged up, or are you
walking? No. They're flying all over the place. Yeah, it's pretty neat. They actually had a sloth, which obviously not a bird, but the sloth is a big attraction. Although the sloth has a well-earned reputation, we learned, for not moving,
not giving.
And the entire time we were there, now we were only there 2.5 hours or so.
That's cool, though.
On Saturday afternoon, but there was a sloth up in the tree. You had to really look. Like I couldn't. I mean, I saw what they were pointing at. Like, I wouldn't have known it was a sloth or even an animal. But we took a picture, and actually the picture came out pretty decently, and you can actually see the face in the picture, which we couldn't from our vantage point. But anyways, it was neat, and they have a simulator where you can fly. You're basically a bird, and they give you, I think it was 5 or 6 cities. New York, Milan, Chicago were 3 of them. I think maybe Mexico City, maybe. I forget what the other ones were. But the Mad Turtle did it twice. We didn't do it. We were kind of wanting to see some different things. But next time we get down there, I would like to try it. Just looked like a lot of fun. A lot of people were taking turns. So
Eagle's view of the cities and stuff?
You come out. It's a virtual reality thing. So you put on the goggles, but you put out your arms on these wings that they have, and you kind of control. So you can flap to go faster. If you tilt up, I think if you go, I think tilting up, raises you, and tilting down, gets you closer to the ground type thing. It was neat. It was lot of fun to watch. They have the screen of what the person doing it is up behind, so we could see what the Mad Turtle was doing, and we had some crashes. The second one he did, there's a wingsuit option where you can do like the wingsuit jumps, but you try to go through these hoops, and that one was a bit of a challenge. So anyways, a lot of fun if you ever get the chance and you're looking for something different to do in Pittsburgh.
Speaking of the what was the reality? What is it?
Virtual reality.
Yep. Do you see that commercial of like the 5 or 6 like really, really old guys, and they put the virtual glasses on and they have them in? They were all pilots in World War II.
No,
and they have them together, and they have them in planes and stuff like that. That they were flying together, but they're just sitting in the living room. And I was like, that is really, really, really cool.
Yeah,
for something like that, to do something like that, and then to see the World War II guys and stuff like that. So I do have something to mention that Captain McCumbee here from Penn State Board of Trustees and Navy SEAL guy, creator of Buds and just an all around fantastic American.
Yes.
Well, he's over in next week, the 30th and the 31st. They are having a memorial set up for the UDT, the underwater demolition teams that took part on D-Day in blowing up all the different obstacles for the tanks and the boats to get on to land in Normandy. Yep. So he is actually the keynote speaker for it.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he's going to be over there.
Wow.
It's within the next 2 weeks. He sent me some pictures of the monument, and they are the UDT guys are the last people that took part in the invasion of Normandy, invasion of Europe in World War II, to have a memorial set up for them there. And he's the guy in charge of the whole thing. So, and then this is the 80-year anniversary of it. So he goes, it's the week before that they're going to do the dedication to it, because he's like 80 years. I mean, the place is packed. So there's, they couldn't do it on D-Day. So they had to do it a week before, and then they'll just, parlay into the week of Normandy and the D-Day invasion and all the festivities over there for the 80-year anniversary. So, yeah, I talked to Captain last night, and it was just a fantastic accomplishment and an honor for him to be doing something like that.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then because there wasn't SEAL teams, obviously, then they were the UDT guys. They were just called frogmen back in the day, and Captain's not that old to be part of that, but he was in the Vietnam era, and just a great American is what he is, man.
That is
so. I just want to let you know that.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool.
Your Philadelphia Phillies, meanwhile,
and Nola went through 5.
Still best record in baseball.
53 pitches through 5 at a no-hitter going.
Well, and the game last night was pretty remarkable.
I don't know how they won that one.
Sometimes you just you take it and you say thank you. Yep. Some calls that certainly went their way. Some
I'm not an umpire.
Not great plays by the Mets. And
the check swing, though, was just, geez Louise.
That is inexplicable,
that was such a
right?
bad call. And then not asking for help.
To not get that right.
Yeah, brutal. They were talking about that all morning on the MLB Network.
It results in a Mets loss, so
we're all good with that.
I'm good with it. But if you didn't see and that would have been the third out, right? Am I remembering this right? Yeah. And there was a 2-strike clear swing of the bat that was called a check swing.
Even his face was like,
yeah.
And the umpire said, no.
Thank you.
Yes. But Mets or no Mets, Diaz's entry into the 9th inning, that is a really, really, really cool thing with the horns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's even better, Stout hits a home run off of them. Stott hits a home run off of them, and then they come back and beat them. So it's even better when they can blow the horns like that. So
and Stott ends up with the sacrifice fly to win it too. After
he's legit, man.
Yeah.
I saw Ruben Amaro on MLB Network this morning saying that he really thinks that he has a future as an MVP and like a highest batting average type of guy. Like he's that type of player, and he's tracking that way. And he said he is a baseball nut. Like he lives it, a baseball rat, like a gym rat in basketball, but he's a baseball rat is what Ruben Amaro was calling him. And he said his best friend is is Bryce Harper. So he just sits there and just gathers all this information off of Harper all the time, all day, all night, and it's obviously working for him.
One of the funniest things about our experience on Friday night. So my wife, the whole reason we were down there was my wife was running a table. Actually, back-to-back Fridays. She ran it for her foundation the first week, and then for Suicide PA this last Friday. So she's running a table. On the concourse out in right field, basically.
Right in the water.
So we are able to watch, obviously, the game from that vantage point, and so we did. And Mike Talkman, the right fielder for the Cubs, there's a guy that is just kind of, it wasn't even clever stuff. Like, I kind of like the heckling at sports games if it's kind of clever or kind of funny, and this guy was
lighthearted.
Neither. It was, and it wasn't even vicious or mean. It was just like, hey, Talkman, you suck, or that kind of stuff. I mean, it was like, okay, like, I don't know. And the Pirates are losing.
I'm a Major League Baseball. I'm an outfielder playing a baseball game, and you're going to say I suck.
Well, yeah. So that's so. Anyways, a group of them leave, and then Talkman starts turning around, and he's like, "Where'd everybody go?" And Pirates are down 7-2, and the crowd is largely left. And the one guy starts talking back with him. He's like, "They all left, Talkman. We suck." And they're talking trash on them. And Talkman's just like, he's like, "Well, what about your?" He starts talking about it. He's like, "You guys really think Russell Wilson's your answer? You think Wilson's your answer? Good luck with that. Get used to a lot of 10-7 losses." And this Pirates fan that's down from us is like, "Oh, we're already used to them, jackass. We're used to them. We don't care. Like, that's what we expect here." So, but then somebody yelled out, "Well, what about Fields?" And Talkman, and this is, mind you, the game's going on, and he's waving his hand. He's like, "Yeah, so with Fields." I don't know. It was just bizarre. And he kept, every inning he came out and he'd look up and he'd jaw something to nobody. And my wife was like, "Is this normal?" I'm like, "Well,
that's cool though."
It's not atypical, but it was a little weird. I don't know. My wife now is not a Talkman or Cubs fan. She thought it was bad sportsmanship. It was a lot of again, kind of trash talking to nobody. It's like, well, this is just a little odd. So anyways, that was our Chicago Cubs Pittsburgh Pirates experience. But the Buckos,
I got to go down to Goon,
are 5.5 out of first place going into tonight. They could close the gap to 3.5 with 2 more wins.
The Cubs
if they
are
can
the
sweep
leader?
the series over the Brewers in Milwaukee. No, Milwaukee.
Okay, all right. We'll go down Goon Alley here.
Yeah.
So my younger brother's bachelor party, I believe it was 99, 2000. I don't know what the heck year it was.
Back in the day.
Yeah. So my younger brother, we go up to Lehigh Valley. So we go up to Scranton-Wilkes-Barre baseball game. That's when it was the Phillies before it became the Yankees. And I believe they were playing a White Sox team. And I couldn't tell you the guy's name, but the guy playing right field, caught a foul ball. Or took a foul ball, little kids are like this. He pump faked the little kid and threw the ball in. And we got 50 mutants up in the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
50 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, then it turned into 150, 300 people just started hammering this guy. He comes out 3 innings in a row with 5 baseballs, trying to buy the kid's love off and don't take it, kid. And we were just hammering him. And he come up the bat and the whole place be booing him. I would love. That's one of the beauties of alcohol. Is I have no recollection of who the heck the guy was, but
there you go.
He's probably a three-time All-Star right now. But it was just funny because the kid pump faked him. He pump faked the little kid, giving him the foul ball, and this kid was crushed. And it was just we just absolutely hammered this guy. So Talkman,
deservedly so, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, Talkman said that was fun, but he was talking. He went to the Steelers on you.
Yeah,
That's how you get into the minds of the Bucco fans.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh in
it
general.
was interesting. It was.
I mean, he didn't bring the Penguins up or nothing, right?
He did not. I was kind of waiting for it, but no, he went. He went the the football route.
Fastest way into your guys' like wheelhouse is football talking, trash and football.
Yeah.
Oh my God, ESPN talking about LeBron. I can't believe it.
That's a nice change of pace.
I told my wife today. I said, it's almost Aaron Rodgers season. So I mean, when football starts, that's when LeBron season's over. That's all Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
I can't stand the 4-letter network. That just they're how they do their stuff now is just insane to me. I don't know. It's report the news. Don't try and create it. That's what they're trying to do, and I can't stand it. I'm just a miserable person. By the way, I have dental work today at 4:30, so I am off the air at 4. I have a nice little infection going on in my mouth and ear, so it's pretty sweet. I look like I shouldn't say this, but I'm not on cocaine. You can see me jawling over here because I'm just like trying to get some comfort in my mouth. Mm-hmm. So no cocaine in my system. I can guarantee you that. So
all right. We'll go with that.
That's what we'll go with. Lordy dordy.
A couple of things from over the weekend. Both Penn State lacrosse teams lost tough games in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. The women lost by a goal to James Madison. I think it was 14-13, if I'm remembering right. And I think it was 12-9. I know a 3-goal loss for the men to Georgetown.
They were up.
Yeah,
they were up 12 or 9-7 going into the fourth.
Yeah, they had. And
so all I can think about is because, I like watching lacrosse. I truly do. But the 3 games I watched this year, they lost in the fourth.
Yeah,
they lost in the last. So, strength coaches. I mean, what the coaches are going to do this offseason, and that is they got to get these guys into shape and teach them how to finish. Are they too tired to end the game type of thing? Is that what's going on, or are they just not closing games out? It's odd, very odd, but it was a bad loss very bad loss in my opinion.
Yeah, brutal way to end the season for sure, and it's one of those things. Both teams obviously did some good things throughout the year, but it's just tough when you have kind of the expectations that they've set for themselves here, right? Which is a good thing. And just, again, both I think fell a little short of what they really wanted to accomplish this year. And for the men, it felt like there's some things in place to maybe make a run. But again, there's just not a lot to choose from. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break here, and we will be back with more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show in mere moments. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, our home away from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And again, we'll be coming right back here with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. If I can eventually get the screen to help me out, we're coming right
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. And we've got a change in the lineup coming up at 4 o'clock. The Dear Goon will exit stage right, and we will bring in relief pitcher Chris Buchanani for the remainder of the show. The Dear Booch doing yeoman's work on our behalf in general. Just so we appreciate that. And again, he'll be on for the second and final hour of today's program. And suspect we may talk some Penn State football a little bit there. Did you see? So one of the interesting things, well, I guess I find it interesting, probably debatable how interesting it is this far out, but the early projections and the betting over-under on wins. And now I'm forgetting which one is which, but one of them has Penn State at 10.5. Over-under. Yes, 10.5.
Regular season?
Yep, and the other has them at 9.5. And so a couple of interesting notes. The only two Big Ten schools that had a higher over-under win total were Ohio State, of course, and Oregon. So,
and I think that's right.
Yeah, so that 10 figure, though, again, is very much in play. And as we've talked about, Goon, I mean, I think Ohio State is the one that most objective observers are looking at and saying, that's probably an L.
This is a whole different show, but I got a bad feeling about Ohio State this year. I just do. We'll get it.
Yeah. So I'm with you to an extent. Like, I think this thing is either going to come together and they are going to be one of the all-time great college football teams. I mean, like putting up astronomical numbers on both sides of the ball.
Or right now.
Well, and I'll tell you where I think. Oh, well, let's get into this in a moment. Just real quick. No, because I think it's worth getting into because Ohio State, I think one of their early season games, right, is at Oregon.
Yes.
And that, I think that game and how that game goes is going to be almost,
agree.
I don't want to say it's everything. I'm not saying, because Ohio State obviously could lose that game and still come back and win the national title, especially with the 12-team format. And obviously they could win that game and the wheels fall off at some point for some reason later in the season. But it feels like that game's not as early as I thought it was. For some reason I was thinking it was that game is not until it's early, but it's October 12th. I was thinking it was like the first or second. It's the
Michigan has a big
Conference
one opening up. Then they got to play Texas.
Yeah, I think
That's a huge
Michigan. Again, I don't think Michigan's going to fall off the the edge of the earth, but
They're going to
obviously
fall off.
they're going to have a drop off from what they
Yes.
were a year ago. I think that is. There's no way around that.
All right, so back to Penn State. So they're at 10.5. Are you sure it doesn't include like post victories?
Yes.
Like
So
that's truly. So they're projecting 11-1.
Well, but here's the reason, because when you look at the schedule, and this is what I think is just fascinating. I don't think there's a game as we sit here right now, and that's what they're basing this on, right? Is you're looking at the projections for the upcoming season, and for Penn State right now, the only game where on Penn State's schedule where you're like, yeah, they're definitely going to be an underdog there is Ohio State. Now there might be some other games where it's like close, and maybe by the time we get to the games could go either way. But right now, there's not another game on the schedule for Penn State that you'd be looking at saying, oh man, they're going to be the underdog in that one. And probably right now,
maybe at USC. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think right now. Again, you'll see how the season goes.
Yeah,
but they lost Caleb Williams. Penn State has Drew Aller coming back. I get it's out there, so the 3-point swing or whatever. But I don't. I mean, again, as you sit here right now, I don't think you'd be. Yeah, and again, if you say it's kind of a toss-up game, or maybe even a slight favorite for USC, which I don't think would be the case right now. I think it would be Penn State as a slight favorite. And again, and I think we talked about this the other week, but those back-to-back games before Ohio State, to me, that it's that 3-game stretch. And there are other games that are obviously, I'm not saying there's gimmies the rest of the way. West Virginia, I think, is a dangerous game to open up the season. I'm just running down the schedule here real quickly.
Bowling Green.
But to me, it is that 3-game stretch where you're at USC, then you're at Wisconsin. Now you do have the bye week in between, but you're at USC, bye week at Wisconsin, and then the home game with Ohio State.
And then Washington a week later too.
Yeah, I don't think Washington.
Yeah,
again,
they're
I think
definitely
they're
taking a step back.
Yes, and again, it doesn't mean they couldn't surprise and they couldn't be a great team. But as you look at it right now, again, not saying there's givens, and certainly I'm not guaranteeing a win over Washington, but I don't think there's a game that Penn State won't be, at least in August, a substantial favorite over, other than that 3-game stretch, right? Like that. And again, it doesn't mean West Virginia couldn't be dangerous, but I think right now the line was like at 12.5 or something, right, for Penn State over West Virginia, even though the Nittany Lions are on the road. And again, part of it is Illinois has given Penn State some fits over the years, but that's a home game, and it feels like that's a game that Penn State should win. UCLA, UCLA is home. Washington is home. Purdue at Minnesota could be dangerous by the time you get there. Maryland could be dangerous by the time you get there. But as you look at it, again, right now, I think the expectation for most objective observers, and probably for most Penn State fans, is it's that 3-game stretch. If you go 3-0 there, look out, it's game on. Anything is possible. If you go 2-1, Penn State's in really good shape. If you go 1-2, kind of same old.
Jeez.
Now, same old probably gets Penn State into the 12-team playoff, and then it just comes down to what you do there as to the overall feel I think the Penn State fans have for the season as a whole.
I need a loss. I don't want a bye week. I want to have a home game here December 21st.
I think there are a lot of people that are
a West Coast or
feeling
a
the
Southern
same way.
team to have to come north and say, "Hey guys, here you go, let's party." Now that's my living dream, buddy.
Watch
really
it be
is. Truly,
Penn State
truly
getting
is.
the home game against Michigan. And Michigan
Wouldn't
comes
it
in and wins it.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, well,
yeah. So let's talk
never
about this.
mind.
So I'm noticing. I'm looking at the schedules.
Yeah.
So if you look at Penn State, Ohio State, because people are like pretty much guaranteeing it's going to be the big Fox noon game. Oregon plays at Michigan that same day.
Yeah, I'm hearing so
that might be a night game for us.
That I am hearing from what I consider to be reliable third-hand sources. So again, I'm not talking to anybody in the administration but I'm talking to people who over the years have told me things, and I would say about 95 to 99% of the time, what they tell me they think they're hearing ends up being what happens. And two different people have told me they believe that is going to be a night game, that they are hearing that is going to be a night game.
Now, see, I have to ask you something. Is it fair to make Oregon play at Michigan at 9 o'clock in the morning with their bodies? You know what I mean? Think about that.
Well,
no, I'm not saying the game's at 9 o'clock in the morning. The game's at noon at Michigan. 3-hour time difference.
Well, it'd be
9 a.m. for them physically.
I get. Yeah,
you're asking a lot. You mean this is a team that you're going to have say you're playing a football game. You better go to. I think that just, and I wonder if their schedule is the week before. If it is a game on the East Coast, to stay on the East Coast and get acclimated a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because that's a little odd to me and it's a little off. But that's what would make the Penn State Ohio State game be a night game is if Fox makes that the big noon game. So the other one is that it just came out that NBC is putting Michigan and Fresno State on the first Saturday night game that we're playing West Virginia. Because people had suspected it was going to be an NBC game, but then somebody was like, they're a Big 12 school. They're not going to have NBC rights. So they're thinking that maybe ABC or Fox, whoever is running the Big 12, it might be their night game. Because I want that to be a night game. But then somebody else made a really good point to me. Like, they're wearing their black Cole uniforms. Did you see those uniforms?
Yes.
They're absolutely beautiful, by the way.
They are.
And their crowd is having a blackout. So imagine that game being a noon game. In August 31st, and I know we're not in the middle of, the deep South here, but it's pretty damn hot in Pennsylvania. And it's pretty damn hot in West Virginia, August 31st. And the chances of those guys wearing a full black uniform are not that good for a day game.
Agreed.
Right?
That's not an ideal
so I'm just, it is interesting to see what's going to happen with all that game schedule-wise. And the NFL comes out tomorrow. So Thursday will be a nice little show for us going over the NFL scheduling.
Just looking, Oregon is home with Illinois the week before.
At home, they're in.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying if they're going to play a noon game on Saturday, it would behoove them to get
come
there.
Out early. Yeah.
Call in some favors, like I said before. I mean, you wonder if there's been talk of like them staying in, like not Illinois, but USC, the West Coast teams coming east. If there's any time that they have to go back to back where they would just stay and like where would they practice, who's putting them up type of thing. And there you go, baby.
Yeah, I don't think
3-0,
that's likely
baby.
for football.
Yeah. You don't think they're going to hang out there?
I don't.
Didn't we say at one point we were talking like they were going to have some campus in like Kansas or Nebraska where like the West Coast teams could stay for the week and practice, and it was fun talking about all that stuff. So I guess we're going to know soon about Florida State and Clemson and the ACC because they have to.
Yeah,
they have to let the SEC know by August. I mean, let the ACC know by August 1st if they are going to compete in the 2025 season. So we're going to have something before then, I believe.
Yeah, I think that is right.
Has your opinion changed of where and when what's going to go on there?
No, because I still think I really would love as I've said repeatedly, but I really would love to be in on the conversations, not participating in them. I don't want to have to figure any of this out, but I really would love to hear what all is being talked about in the discussions with the Big Ten and the SEC about how to set this whole thing up. And, at the end of the day, I'm not sure it's much going to matter, because I think at the most we're looking at another year or two, like after 2024, at the most another year or two before we move to whatever this is going to be. But what I think it's going to be is probably two massive conferences currently known as the Big Ten and the SEC.
Sure.
And we are, my expectation, and I'm feeling pretty confident about it, is we will then move back to more regional play, so that you will have, again, we'll just use Big Ten and SEC.
So
but you'll have a Big Ten,
West, East,
four
Ten.
four divisions in the SEC, and they'll all be more geographically based. And then you'll get the, some sort of a playoff format where the two major conferences, not unlike the AFC and the NFC, will have a playoffs, and then you'll have the championship game, the mini big game, if you will.
So you know what, Jeff? Everybody I talk to about my idea absolutely finds it an amazing idea.
Yeah.
And that was the extra, like, if there's 80 or 90 schools, there's 133 that play Division I football. So if you take 80, you're going to have 53 left over. You take 100, you're going to have 33 left over. And I remember what I said the one time on the radio, and that was, why don't the other teams that are not in the Power One conference have spring football and compete in there with their 50 schools in the spring? And you're not competing with the NFL. You're not competing with the Power Conference. You can get your own. You're gonna maximize your TV deal, because people are gonna watch. And you said that day to me.
You know that? Because I don't know. I go back. And
precedence
forth
was set. So you said precedence was set during COVID with the Ivy League playing spring football. So it's not unheard of. But what do you?
We are. We are accustomed, right? We are a culture, like most cultures are, of habits. And one of the things, I just don't know that it's as, and you may be right. I'm not saying that definitively you're flat out wrong, but I do think, like, we like our football, but we like it in the fall. We like our basketball. We like our basketball in the winter. We like our baseball. We like our baseball in the spring. Like, I do think there is something to the seasons. And I wonder if that kind of second tier of college football would really carve out the niche in the spring that, again, I'm not saying definitively it wouldn't, but, like, for me, and we got to make this about me, right? Like, wrestling is going to dominate my world until that third weekend in August. College basketball is going to dominate college basketball fans' interest until that first week in April. Again, maybe it's just that there is a lot already competing for, and even in the fall, right? I mean, there's already increased competition for eyeballs to the TV set, people in the stands, from Major League Soccer, Major League lacrosse, arena football, indoor football. You may be right, and it may be very successful compared to leaving it in the fall, where it is going to be in the shadow of the elite teams, or whatever you want to call that top tier.
Yeah, I'm just saying, wrestling's
football.
over mid-March. You go right into mid-March. The next weekend could be the first weekend of a 50-team conference. Play 10, 12 games, do the playoffs. You're done in June. I mean, we're sitting here right now. There's not much. I'm not talking full winter. I mean, we can't deal with that up here. And, I'm talking about there's 30 or 40 schools, and who are going to get left out. Your MAC schools, your some Big
Sun
12
Belt.
schools, Sun Belt, all those,
Yeah.
Tulane.
Mountain West.
Yeah,
all
like
of
there's
those.
going to be 30 or 40 of them, but I would watch it. Being a creature of habit is I can watch football at any level, at any time. If I don't know the outcome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just very much enjoy watching the game of football, and I think Americans love watching football. Completely overtaken, and it is a football culture, and it is dominated. But I mean, I just say to maximize the dollars that these schools could make, and that would be to have a Fox deal, an FS1 deal, an NBC deal, and in this, rather than playing Monday and Tuesday night like the MAC does right now to get some eyeballs on their teams. That stinks for the players. It stinks. It's even worse. I think for the fans. Like, you got to go to a game. I got to work till 5 o'clock.
Know, but if you're playing like into June, even May, like
it's just
Florida,
reverse. It's very hot in August, September.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, make a 10-game schedule. I mean, the Division I AA is only 10 games. And then they have 4 weeks of playoff type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just a way to maximize dollars and cents. And, then you have your super conference. You don't have guys playing Tuesday and Wednesday nights. The NFL is taking Thursday night over. There's no doubt. So the big power conference has got to take Friday night over. And that sucks for high school. It really stinks because Friday night was for high schools. It really always should have been. If we go out and watch a high school game.
I agree.
I'm a big fan of that. But now, if you're going to have a West Virginia playing Arkansas or West Virginia playing Penn State on a Friday night, because there's actually talk of that still, Ironhead, I'm watching that. I'm sorry. The college football needs to take that Friday night time slot back. Dominate, Friday night. Dominate all day Saturday. You have your 80 to 100 teams.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out and what all is decided.
Me and you can sit here in our little pulpit, be the two old miserable guys in the Muppets and have all these great ideas. But you imagine having to put this into you're gonna there's a leak here, so you're gonna put your finger there, then 3 more spring over here.
Well, that's the thing. There are so many components to it, and you're trying to, I think one of the things they will try to do, which the NCAA never even tried, let alone was successful, which is trying to project. And again, it's very difficult to do. I think some things the NCAA should have been able to see, all right, this is what's coming down the pike. Let's prepare for it. Now, sometimes stuff happens that you don't expect, whether it's technological advances or different things that happen. But clearly, once the Ed O'Bannon case and everything moved forward, how the NCAA at that point didn't say to itself, all right, we have got to get out ahead of this and figure out some sort of revenue sharing, some sort of monetary opportunity here for the student athletes is, it's inexplicable. I mean, it just is an absolute dereliction of duty by those that were in charge at the time. Yep, thinking of you, Mark Emmert, you jackass.
Yep, he's too busy worried about other stuff.
Yes, but man, what a lack of vision by the NCAA. So I do think the Big Ten and the SEC are trying to put together kind of a comprehensive plan here. But again, with a bunch of when I say comprehensive, we're not just talking football and basketball. Part of what I guarantee you they are trying to figure out is, what does intercollegiate athletics look like down the road? How do we manage that? How do we make it a good and worthwhile venture? And again, does that involve making those sports non-scholarship sports, or having at least fewer of these scholarship programs that are available? All of this, again, is being discussed. TV deals for all of these networks. The Big Ten and the SEC network are talking about, all right, how do we, make this work for us as we move forward.
And
what schools do we go after? What schools, as you've said, what schools do we maybe, you know what, it's been real.
Yeah, like
maybe it's time for you to go in another direction.
Is West Virginia, is Boston College, are Syracuse invited to that 80 to 100 team? I mean, 100, yes. Are they involved in the 80? And then the other thing I have to say is it's the people who are pushing this are the SEC and the Big Ten, because their stock is as high as it's ever going to be. So they need to maintain those names. They can't just say, oh, we're going to get rid of the name Big Ten and get rid of the name SEC. There's no way that's going to go away. No way. Now, I mean, have you thought about some of these deals that, like, remember, like, Texas took, like, the lion's share of a lot of the money that the Big 12 was making?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what they're talking about the Big Ten and SEC might do with these new television conferences. And then just say to if they complain, they say, well, then you can leave. I mean, think about that. You can, extend a little olive branch to some people and say, hey, let's be copacetic here. We'll all split it evenly. I mean, but, like, do they go into Rutgers and Maryland and say, hey, you didn't make the cut for the football, Do you think they would do that? Do you think they would?
I don't.
People.
I don't. I mean, they may. I don't think that they will give different proportions of money depending on the program. For one, I just don't think that's a feasible long-term workable model, because again, eventually you're going to be left with 4 to 8 programs and everybody else is going to take their ball and go home. It's like, well, okay, yes, you're bringing it in, but you're bringing it in because you have teams to play. We don't want to be one of those teams anymore if we're not going to be dealt an equal share. And the other part of it now is, I believe it is inevitable, and it is coming very, very soon, that there will be revenue sharing. And so you can't start with a model that gives a recruiting advantage in that regard, that, hey, if you go to an Alabama or a Penn State, you're going to get a greater percentage. I mean, you are guaranteeing then. And I get that there are people that is, well, it's already guaranteed. Okay, but in terms of you have to have some element of fairness, my opinion, to create a workable competitive model. And to me, that is, all right, these are the TV packages, and all of the schools share equally in that and get equal distribution among the student athletes. Now, again, what I'm still fascinated by is how that gets distributed and how it gets divvied up in terms of football, basketball, other student athletes on a given campus. And again,
enjoy
all of
reading about this stuff because there's so much that's out there. So, did you see some of the reports that they're going to try and get rid of the walk-on and just have the 85 scholarship guys, but then maybe raise it up to like 95, and you have 95 guys on your team type of thing, but there's no walk-ons.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that will not water down. That'll make the lesser programs have a little bit more talent on their team, in my opinion. But we're really trekking towards the no walk-on thing is a big thing. I mean, you're going to try and have practices. It's going to be an NFL practice soon. It truly, truly is. I mean, the NFL, they have 60, 70 guys, 60 guys to practice with. So we're talking about the NCAA having 85 scholarship guys, and that's the only guys you have on your team. That's over 5 classes. You think about that. I mean, I was trying to explain to Carrie, and maybe it wasn't Carrie, maybe it was somebody else last night, and they were like, well, man, that's going to stink for Nebraska's walk-on program. Do you ever know what they did? How they got away with that walk-on program that they called it? Mm-hmm. So you were a big shot from Center County. So Center County actually taxes and has a fund set aside for one of their kids in their county, and they pay a scholarship for him to be on the football team. So if there's 30 counties in Nebraska, there's 30 more scholarships they were dealing with back in the 80s and the 90s with Osborne. And everybody was saying, oh, this walk-on program they have in Nebraska. I was like, they're not walking on. These kids aren't paying. So imagine, and I was trying to explain to her, I was like, and she said, well, that's pretty cool. It's nice that they can do that. And I'm like, Well, it's an unfair advantage because Penn State has 85 scholarships, and if you think about it, Nebraska has 115. If they have 30, I don't know how many counties are in Nebraska. There could be 12. I don't know, but it's one of those things. But they're talking about getting rid of that, and then there's a lot of historically great programs. They have walk-ons come through. I mean, what's the Ballsworth Trophy? Is it for the best walk-on each year? And McGloin had won it. Nazib had won it, I believe.
Yeah, it's
so much stuff that, we should have a talk show, Jeff.
Yeah, no, there is. There is a ton that they have got to pour through and figure out and try to establish the plan ahead of time. Which, again, in and of itself,
that's not my job.
All of those people together and agreeing on whatever the plan is also going to be a significant challenge for the commissioners and for those in charge, and ultimately putting this thing together. It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out and just how different, how drastically different college sports looks even 5 years from now to today. And again, I don't know. We've talked circles around this, and the truth is nobody knows, including the people that are in charge right now. That you can't know. I mean, that's what they're trying to figure out, is try to get some idea. But right now, there are so many moving parts, so many unknowns, and everybody's making their best guesses, and certain things I think you can see coming. Again, there is going to be some sort of revenue sharing. Now, exactly what that looks like and who is involved, who is sharing the revenues, I think is still, I think that's one of the more fascinating components to this, which is, do the TV networks, are they distributing it directly to the schools? Are they distributing it to the conferences, and then the conferences distribute it to the schools, or do the conferences just distribute it directly to the student athletes?
What do the players get? That's all I care.
And again, at each level of that distribution, what cut, what percentage gets taken for the administrative levels, facilities, all of the other things that are involved in putting together a quote-unquote big-time college athletic program. And again, that's just scratching the surface of all of the things that they have to figure out. We will let you get on your way, dear good.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
You have yourself a great rest of the day. Enjoy. Good times. The Goon knows how to
NFL
party.
Schedule release tomorrow. We'll talk about it Thursday.
That's going to be
Steelers have the on. It's just because of who they play. They don't know the times and where yet, but they have the third or fourth hardest schedule in the league.
Yeah, that's all right. They got the best team in the league, so they'll be just fine.
What?
No, I'm very worried about how that quarterback situation is
going
to play out. I think I like the moves. It's not, but I
might go to Philadelphia when they play the Cubs and just harass your left fielder.
There you go. I just want to see how this whole thing is going to play out, because I still think Justin Fields will be the starter by the end of the year.
Did you see the story that came out about him and Foles?
Maybe in the first half.
About him and Nick Foles?
No.
There was this absolute hate and angst in their quarterback room like last year or the year before, because Nick Foles is in the locker room trying to be this veteran presence for him, and he's trying to talk to him and teach him and say he at one point was doing something, and then he turned around and Fields wasn't even zero attention to him whatsoever, and he was just quit wasting my time, kid. He just didn't give a, and they hated each other. Nick Foles is a Christian. For him to say that he hated somebody, or he didn't say it, they just say they hated each other.
Yeah,
it's very, very odd. But that it was the MO about Fields, and that was that he was just going to do what he wanted, and I hope it's not like that. But that's going to get knocked out of him real quick in Pittsburgh. They seem to like those type of guys.
Yeah. had their fair share. That's for sure.
Have a great rest of the show.
All right.
Booch,
We will
thanks, Bubba.
take a break here. You are listening to WFXS Pleasant Gap State College, and Chris Buchanani and I will be back on the other side.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, handsy busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Guess I can go to more of a middle stage here on the camera. Just realized that. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. I am at Quaker Steak and Lube, and the dear Chris Buchanani joins us via a hunkered down bunker location, ready and raring to go in relief for Goon this afternoon. Let's hope he's perform better than the Pirates bullpen.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Ironhead. You know what? I'm going to double down on my stupid prediction I made in the preseason, which I am sure everyone has already forgotten. But I still think they're going to play better as the summer goes on. And I think they're going to be in the thick of the competition for that last wild card spot in the NL come August.
Well, I will say that the starting pitching rotation definitely has a chance here if they can keep everybody healthy. That is a group that I think can keep you in contention. Just got to start swinging a better bat. Although Brian Reynolds, maybe waking up here is certainly going to help.
It's all contingent on health, right? Like, they're going to have to get healthy and stay healthy down the stretch, but that's true of any team in any sport. But I think with, like you guys were talking about in the first hour, and you just said, with the starting rotation, if they can just get a little bit more pop, and, you saw it a few years ago when they had some of those teams that contended to get into the wild card spot. If they're putting anything that is halfway approximating a decent product on the field.
Yeah.
PNC Park's a great park. The fans are going to show up. And when that place is anywhere close to full, it's a really good environment to play in. So I really think with some of the excitement around the young guys on that squad, if they can just get anything going as we get into June here, late May into June, give people some reason to hope. School's out, the weather's starting to get nice. People think about going to the ballpark. You start getting people there, and there are crowds in the stands, and they're revving them up.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's the craziest thing to suggest that in like a very lackluster division, a long season, and now baseball has followed the way of the NHL and the NBA and the NFL too, where everyone makes the playoffs. It's not the craziest thing in the world, and we've seen it in the not too distant past that they're not maybe going to contend for a division title, but they can contend for one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, and truthfully, they're in the right division to even try to stay in the division title race because
that division stinks. Just look at that Skeen's debut with the Cubs, right? Like the Pirates did truly everything they could, not only to lose that game, but lose it in the most ridiculous fashion. And the Cubs still blew it. And to me, that's the NL Central in a nutshell.
Well, and even last night they tried to blow the opening game with the Brewers, and ultimately Milwaukee wouldn't let them. So, and that's their division leader there in the Brewers. Right. So, yeah, if they can get another win here to split these next two with the Brewers. Again, I do think there's a chance here to build some momentum and to get the good vibes going, but. That game Saturday, and they ultimately won. Hats off to them for that. Boy, that was I forget who it was, but tweeted out, and our mutual friend, the horse in Pittsburgh, retweeted it or posted, but that the utter collapse following Skeen's exit from the game on Saturday was the Pittsburgh Piratesy, the most Pittsburgh Piratesy thing that the Pittsburgh Pirates have ever done. And it's like, well,
indeed,
yeah. And then going into the rain delay just made it feel even more Pirates-like. So, but
they had real quick. Speaking of Saturday, I just got to throw a quick shout out here to John Schaefer and the crew at Anti-Fragile Brewing Company and the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau and everybody else was involved in the Happy Valley Brew Fest at Beaver Stadium on Saturday. You guys had John on the show last week, pumping it up. I think I went. I had a terrific time, despite the lousy forecast. We actually got the majority of the weather was clear. We did get rained on the last hour, but by that point, you'd been sampling beer for 4 hours and you maybe didn't care too much. 2 hours of beautiful sunny weather. So it was great. You got the full central Pennsylvania experience, but really awesome. You and I, Ironhead, are fortunate enough to have had many experiences where we get to go down and walk on the Beaver Stadium field, sometimes during a game or for Penn State Media Day or for whatever. But for most folks, that was a first-time experience and very, very cool. You could tell people were in awe just being able to walk in and walk around the field. And there were a lot of great breweries, a lot of great beer, good music, everything. I mean, for a first-time event, I think they really knocked it out of the park, and I can't wait to go again next year.
Yeah, I still can't believe I wasn't there. There were a few different things that played in against it. I am determined to get there from here on out. I was very excited to hear about it when it was first being discussed and proposed. And yeah, I haven't talked to anybody, Booch, that didn't love everything. I mean, save maybe for the weather at the end, but like you said, even that, given the forecast, turned out pretty fortuitous for all involved. I do think one of the things I really do like about Pat Kraft is the willingness to think outside the box, to allow things that once upon a time, and the love and respect I have for Joe Paterno, there is a less than 0% chance that Joe Paterno would have ever allowed such an event on the earth. I think looking at more and creative ways to use that facility is an important part of this thing moving forward. Listen, there are a bunch of challenges facing not just Penn State, and not just Penn State athletics, but Penn State University, Penn State athletics, colleges across the country, universities in general, and athletic departments in general are going to have to start being more creative, more open to ideas that, again, once upon a time may have been ludicrous to those involved, because you've got to open up additional revenue streams here for the university moving forward, and for the athletic department, and especially, again, with the competitive environment that we're launching into and the additional revenue that is going to be, again, shared and going out. You've got to find some new and creative ways to get it coming in. And I'm not saying this event in and of itself, all right, now you've taken care of that issue. But I think things like this, like having concerts at Beaver Stadium, and we've talked about, maybe a preseason NFL game, maybe, a Winter Classic hockey game. But I think even above and beyond that, Booch, things that I'm not thinking of, that it's like, man, if somebody has an idea, hey, let's try this. Let's maybe see if we can do that. And it can generate some revenue and get some folks into the stadium and have a good experience and a positive experience associated with Penn State. That is, you've got to do that. And again, I think Pat Kraft realizes that, and I think you're seeing it with what's happening. And I keep having people ask me, and I don't know the answer. I'm doing a podcast with Cal later this week for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club's Strong and Grateful podcast. And one of the things I will ask them is the prospects of the Beaver Stadium duel. There are a lot of people that seem to think that is a done deal. I don't think it's a done deal, that to my knowledge, but I do know that it is something that is at least on the table and being discussed. And again, I don't think there are restrictions right now on what is being discussed. Now, I'm not saying anything goes at Beaver Stadium, but I think anything is going to be at least discussed. And okay, yep, we think we can make this work. Let's give it a try. And I do. It sounds like this is done before an annual event.
Has that been done before, a college wrestling match at a football stadium?
Yes, twice to my knowledge, and actually there might have been a third. Iowa and Oklahoma State wrestled at Kinnick Stadium, and they drew about 40,000. And then Rutgers did it. I want to say they wrestled Princeton. I could be completely wrong on that, but they definitely did it in their stadium as well. I think the talk of a Penn State Oklahoma State meet, and to me, if they can make that happen,
let's do it.
I mean, you would shatter the record for a wrestling duel in attendance. Again, that Iowa duel outdoors with Oklahoma State is the record, and it was right around 40,000. I think they could double that. I know that. Yeah, they got 80,000 in for Luke Combs. I am telling you, if they promote that right and they do it at the right time, I think you can get 80,000. I think you can get 40 to 50 just on the wrestling diehards out of the gate. And then again, because of the novelty of it, if it was, again, Oklahoma State, the appeal of having David Taylor again, even if you don't know anything about wrestling, truthfully, even if you're not a Penn State or David Taylor fan, it's like, if you don't have anything else to do with that in time, it's like, might go check that out just to say I was part of it, and to see that again, be part of that experience. So I would love to see that happen, and I do think it is at least a possibility right now with the world we're in here at Penn State being headed up by Pat Kraft, and I'm excited to see what other possible uses down the road. And again, it's not just Beaver Stadium. I think you're going to see some creative uses of the Jordan Center. Medler Field at Bronco Park has done a great job of facilitating a number of different events, working with a bunch of different nonprofits, and then they did that solar day with the eclipse. That's just been a great venue, and they've done great community outreach with it. And I think more and more of those types of things are coming down the pike, and I think it's again, those are win-wins for everybody, because more revenue into the athletics, which I think is important right now. More opportunities for people to feel like they are part of the Penn State experience and getting some different experiences as a result of it. To me, there's just not really a downside to any of this stuff, and it's why
great for the community too. I mean, a little juice into the local economy. Like, last weekend had there was going to be a whole lot of nothing going on typically in that week, that little time period after graduation, but before any of the summer classes start. Yep. And then you drop a beer festival right in the middle of that. I know we went out and we had friends come in for it, and we all went out to dinner afterwards. And then, we definitely helped stimulate the local economy before, during, and after. And so, you multiply that by a few thousand people showing up to the first of these events, and I think they'll for sure have more next year. It's a really good thing for the state college economy as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot going on in that regard. I mean, tourism has obviously always been a key component to the local economy, but I think you have a lot of people, not just Penn State, but locally, a lot of people that are figuring out different ways, again, to tap into that. And a lot of it does center around athletics. I mean, we have that Ironman triathlon event that is, was a smashing success last year, and obviously a big boost. Obviously, you have a lot of youth tournaments. The volleyball is always a big one. Wrestling's always a big one. They have another junior wrestling event coming up this weekend out at the center. So, and it's not all sports, but I mean, the sports component here is a big part of that tourism aspect for Center County. And again, it just I think is going to continue to expand, in part due to Penn State and their willingness to look at some different things. But I think, again, just the area in general seems to be gaining an understanding of how important that tourism component is, and how to better tap into it and provide more and more opportunities to give people a reason to visit the Valley of Happiness here. So see how it all plays out. Booch, I'm curious, just we were talking a little bit, Goon and I, about that 10-win figure seems to be shockingly, once again, the number being bandied about. Can Penn State go 11-1? Could they go disappointing 9-3 in the upcoming season? Certainly, I think both are possibilities. I think most people are settling in again on, it looks like a 10-2 football team, and that'll be viewed as disappointment by some, as remarkable consistency, and good news by others. To me, Booch, the big difference this year is that 10-2, should they get there, gets you into the playoffs. And then
you would think it would almost have to, right?
We were playing through some scenarios. A friend of mine, this was a week and a half ago now, I guess, we would agree that it's not an absolute guarantee, but it is as close to a guarantee. It is pretty hard to envision the multitude of things that would have to happen for the scenario to play out where Penn State, with this schedule this season, would go 10-2 and not get in the playoffs. I would put, they do that win probability, which always makes me chuckle. It's like, wow, this team now has a 42%. Give me a break. That being said, I think Penn State, if it goes 10-2, has about a 99.5% probability of making the college football playoffs in the upcoming season.
Well, if you go and you look at those exercises people did last fall, we kind of retroactively use the 12-team playoff criteria on past seasons of the 4-team playoff era and say who are the other teams who would have gotten in. Every year Penn State won 10 games, they would have gotten in. So, yeah, I think that's a really reasonable assumption to make. And, I responded to a question someone put on Twitter yesterday. If Penn State is 10-2 in the regular season and makes the playoffs, do you consider that a successful season? And I said, in my mind, going into this year, it's tough for me ever, frankly, had to poo-poo a 10-win regular season. Maybe it's a little bit diluted compared to what it might have been in our youth because there are more regular season games. But nevertheless, double-digit wins is very hard to do. I don't care who you're playing. Just to consistently get up and do the things you need to do to win games. You look at the Indiana game last year, and sometimes even opponents who you should walk over, you have a difficult time with, and you've got to actually dig deep and do the little things you need to win. The 86 season had a game like that against Maryland where, that magical national championship run was 1 2-point conversion away from maybe never occurring.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to detract from double-digit wins. And I think for this squad going in this year, a playoff season is a successful season. Now, if they go 10-2, which, like you said, probably gets them in, but does not get them that home game that Goon is coveting, and it is kind of a funny thing, right? Everybody just loves the idea of that home game at Beaver Stadium, but it almost requires you to root against your team's best interests at some point because if you win all your games, you get a bye. But, 10-2 gets you on the road in the playoffs. So if you get in, but you lose, so you don't even win a game, that's about as modest as a success as you're going to have. But I still think a playoff season is a successful one. You agree?
So I'm going to generally agree. As always, I have to play the hypothetical game. And it's
Sure.
So part of it for me is always, okay, yes, but – like I need to know a little bit more about the losses and the overall, competitive makeup of the team. Like if they lose to Ohio State 63-14, I don't know where I'm getting that number from, and they get crushed by USC. Yes, and they get crushed by USC, and they win by a field goal over West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Maryland. And then they get waxed by 5 touchdowns in that first round of the playoffs. So generally speaking, I mean, I think we're all presuming that, it's not that you get blown out in all 3 games and you win a bunch of other close ones against so-so competition. Presuming that it's a typical 2-loss regular season and a competitive playoff loss, I'm with you. I think it'd be hard to qualify it as unsuccessful. I also don't think it's going to have people jumping up and down and waving their Penn State towels in the air, celebrating, hey, man, we made the playoffs. It's not going to have that type of feel to it. But, I think it'd be hard to argue that, man, that is just some kind of crazy disappointment in this era of college football. And with everything that Penn State and all of these teams are going to have to navigate. But I think with, again, a couple of new faces on the schedule in terms of conference opponents and how you navigate that is obviously a part of it. I think the fact that, they do open up at a dangerous West Virginia team, again, to me, this season, certainly they could stumble somewhere else and that can – wreck things. But to me, this season really does come down to that 3-game stretch at USC, at Wisconsin, and then Ohio State. I'm not foolish enough to presume victories in all of the other games, but to me, Penn State, as it stands now, should win those other games. Now, again, always add the caveat that there's always teams that are disappointments and always teams that are surprises. And maybe a Maryland takes the conference by storm or something like that this season, and that becomes much more of a marquee game. And conversely, maybe USC, really struggles without Caleb Williams. Maybe Wisconsin has a really down year. I mean, there's just a bunch of things that come into play. But as we sit here right now, a long ways out. To me, that 3-game stretch, if Penn State takes care of business in the other games, and I feel like it should, that 3-game stretch really is going to be the tale of the season. And I have a hard time believing that Penn State loses all 3 of those games. I think Penn State at least gets a win in there. And really, I kind of think they could and borderline should get 2 of the 3 in there. Ironically, it would be the 2 road games that I think they should get.
Yeah.
But I'm with
For
Goon
sure.
too, Booch, on Ohio State. I think is a really fascinating watch this year. I don't think there's any question, or at least not much of a question in my mind, that they have the most talented roster in college football. I think it's hard to make an argument at the moment that anybody has more talent on their roster than Ohio State.
I mean, probably the only team you would even want to argue maybe is Georgia.
Yeah. Georgia's certainly loaded, and Texas has a lot of talent, but I don't think they have quite what Ohio State does in terms of
I thought about Texas, and I agree. I think it's a 2-team conversation, and I mean, you're at a point of splitting hairs between the 2 of them. If I were filling out an AP poll this year, I would have Ohio State as my preseason number 1.
Yeah, I think I would too, but I'm kind of with Goon in that I can see this thing going off the rails. Now, going off the rails doesn't mean like a losing season. I'm not saying that kind of off the rails, but like 9-3, I think is in play if things start to go awry. And that Oregon game, to me, Booch, is just really big because I think Oregon is very good. I mean, I think they are a legit, certainly playoff contender and probably Big Ten title contender. And that game is home for Oregon. And if Oregon finds a way to win it in whatever way, I wonder, with all of that talent in Columbus and all of the expectations, like I think Ryan Day, even though he has all of that talent, I think for them to even get to the national title game this year, I actually think it will require his best coaching job to date in Columbus. Because I think managing all of those egos and all of the expectations that the individuals have, including 5 different quarterbacks that he has on that roster, who I think are all thinking, man, I could be the guy, or I will be the guy. That stuff can, if you lose or if things go awry, it can really quickly snowball into something, again, relatively disastrous. Again, I'm not saying that they're going to have a losing season, but 2-3 losses and things not rosy, and a lot of chirping from fans at players and players at other players. I can see that happening very easily this year in Columbus.
I can too. It's funny you said 5 quarterbacks who all think they can or should be the guy. That might be 4. If I'm being completely honest, I kind of suspect he'll never say this out loud, but maybe if you gave him some sodium pentothal, Devin Brown would admit that in reality, he's just there for the zip line. And I mean, it's funny because I think you and I would both love to see a starting quarterback in modern college football wearing number 33, like kind of, a la like Richie Lucas, Galen Hall days at Penn State, right? But
yes.
You raised some really good points. The amount of scrutiny and pressure that comes with the offseason Ohio State had and the widely publicized amount of money they spent in order to assemble the roster that they've had already ratchets up tension. Then you add the fact that the natives out there are 100% restless because, there are 11 games on the schedule that they don't really care too much about, and they assume that ChatGPT could coach the team to winning.
Yeah.
You're there to beat Michigan, and now he is really starting to develop this problematic tendency of not being able to beat Michigan in big games. I don't think anything is ever going to top, in terms of college rivalries, North Carolina beating Duke in the Final Four in Coach K's last game. Like that, there will never be as much stakes and bad blood in a college rivalry game. But if there's any game that can compete with it, it was the Ohio State-Michigan game last year, where there was so much consequence attached to who won. And then the backstory of if Michigan wins this game, not only do they not get any punishment for the, Connor Stallions cheating stuff, they're probably going to go on and win the national championship. So all we got to do is stop them. And they blow it. I mean, I think that's why Kyle McCord is not the quarterback there anymore. And, you and I can go back to the 1990s when John Cooper was coaching Ohio State. And he maybe had year in and year out as much NFL talent, if not more, to compare to any other team in college football. And there were a couple of times where John Cooper's Ohio State teams just absolutely stomped Penn State. They had really, really great squads. And when you look at the number of draft picks on the roster, you're like, oh my God, how did this team not win a national championship? Well, they couldn't beat Michigan. So here the guy, he was recruiting the lights out. Well, Ohio State was winning at a very high clip. They were dominating the Big Ten, but they weren't beating Michigan, and he got shown the door. So that pressure ramps up very quickly. Then you add in, like you talked about, all the new elements in the locker room. Judkins, the running back, is there because Ole Miss was paying the newcomers more than it was the stalwarts who had been there. And now he's that guy in the Ohio State locker room. And there are other players like him. And so, what kind of chemistry issues arise from that? Are there resentments? Are there just guys who, they don't understand the program culture, and there are clashes with that? And then layered on top of all of that, this is one of the things that I'm most fascinated, I guess, because I'm an Eagles fan, is that, Chip Kelly, Ironhead, is just like a misanthropic weirdo. Like, he is just a strange human being. I don't know if you followed it at all, but Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy just released a 1-hour podcast last week where they just went in for an hour. Yeah, and lit him up. Absolutely lit Chip up. Got future Hall of Fame left tackle Jason Peters on the phone, and he had some comments I can't repeat on the radio about Chip Kelly. So, this guy has a history of alienating players, and yet he also has a long history of being the guy in charge, going all the way back to his days at New Hampshire. And then he was a head coach at Oregon. He was a head coach in the NFL, and we got to Philly by year 2. He was not just the head coach, he was the GM. So he's always been the alpha dog, and offense is his bailiwick. And that's the same can be said about Ryan Day. And so when you take everything I just talked about, the pressure cooker and the intense scrutiny and making that roster gel together, you throw on top of that, you have 2 alphas. Sorry, I just had to catch myself from using a term I probably shouldn't use on the air. Two alpha dogs, all right, in the same room, both used to being the boss, both used to having the final say, and they're both big-time offense guys who have very, very strong opinions about how offensive football should be played. I can probably chart you out, 7 to 10 ways that thing could totally combust before the end of the year.
Yeah, to me, they are the most interesting watch in college football because of the expectations, because of all of the talent, but because of, I think what is a very flammable, at least potentially flammable situation within that leadership in that locker room. And
you talk about that Oregon game. There were like 2 regular season games that have the potential to completely redirect the entire college football season next year. And this year, Oregon versus Ohio State. And then, we were talking about these early televised games that they've announced. You're going to see Wisconsin hosting. Well, Texas, Michigan is a big one, but I don't think the expectations with everything Michigan lost are anywhere close to what they are for Ohio State. So look at Oregon, Ohio State. And then the next week, you've got Alabama at Wisconsin. Now, that's not one of the two big games I'm talking about. But then Alabama, you would think, ought to have enough, even post Nick Saban, to beat a rebuilding Wisconsin, although it's always tough to go to Madison and play.
Yeah.
Then they take a week off, and Kalen DeBoer then has to host the first regular season Georgia-Alabama game since like the Reagan administration. I mean, it just feels like forever since those two teams met in the regular season. If you look at the expectations around Alabama this year, even with Nick Saban gone, and then what everybody thinks about Georgia, the winners of those games are going to be able to capitalize on so much momentum. And the losers are suddenly going to have so many questions to answer, especially if the losers are Ryan Day and Kalen DeBoer. Like both of them are going to have some very, very uncomfortable conversations with boosters if they lose those games, and they could completely determine the trajectory of the rest of the regular season, maybe in terms of who are the teams to beat, who's in the catbird seat to get one of those 4 byes. I mean, I'm excited about it. I think, there should be some really interesting regular season games that take place in September. But man, if Ohio State loses that Oregon game, things could get ugly very quickly.
That is a fact. We will take a break here. We're back with one final segment. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are over at Quaker Steak and Lube, and yes, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet is underway. You can come on over and enjoy the all-you-can-eat wings. Great flavors, and a lot of folks working their way in as we speak to participate in the wing buffet, as is always the case here on Tuesdays. Of course, Quaker Steak and Lube, great place to come down any day of the week, enjoy great food, get great service, enjoy the beverages, and yes, enjoy all of the sports on the TVs all throughout this great restaurant. We're coming right back. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on WFSX Pleasant Gap State College.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Chris Buganani filling in for the second hour here today for Goon, who is, I think it's safe to say, not having a great time. I think he'd rather be here. Nothing against his dentist, but not exactly a pleasant experience that I think he is undergoing at this particular moment. So we wish him well and hopefully back and feeling fine for Thursday's show. Talking some college football, Booch, one of the things Goon and I were kicking around, it is just fascinating to me. I'm overusing the word fascinating, but I'm fascinated by the way this is going to play out in terms of what college football looks like, what college athletics looks like, maybe even next year, maybe even this coming year, but certainly 5 years from now. And to me, it comes down. I know there's other folks involved here, but really it's the Big Ten and the SEC, their commissioners, and I suppose the ADs that are involved here as well, that are going to, I think, largely shape what the at least immediate future of college athletics looks like. I guess some of your thoughts on how this, I think we all are in agreement. Revenue sharing is clearly coming much sooner than later. I'm expecting it'll be in place by the fall in some form. But just your thoughts on where we're headed with this gigantic, colossal thing that is intercollegiate athletics.
Oh, you think by this fall?
I think the revenue sharing component I'm not saying that the revenue sharing will be in place. I think the plan for how that revenue sharing is going to occur, I think will be decided by the end of this summer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I think the first, 2025 is when you'll start to see implementation taking place. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
That's
although
my expectation.
I could see it taking place even in 2024, Booch. If they think they have something that I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I won't be shocked if they come out and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and voila, here is the plan, and it gets implemented starting in September. I won't be shocked if that occurs.
Yeah, I had not really thought about that, but when you say it, it makes sense to me. I thought 2025 was aggressive, but they want to get this thing settled as quickly as possible. If for no other reason than I think every Division I football coach and athletic director in the country hates their jobs and, frankly, probably their lives right now, because the system as it's currently set up, where players can just move around willy-nilly as much as they want. And so you're constantly recruiting and re-recruiting everyone, high school kids, current players on your roster, players on other teams' rosters. And a big component of that miserable recruiting process I just described is this weird dance of the seven veils with donors and collectives and bunch of people out in the community that you don't really have a whole lot of direct communication with or control over, gathering up money and, very, very vague and shadowy ways that, hey, maybe we can offer you this money in an NIL deal. It's all just crazy. It's nuts. If you ever described this system to somebody and said, hey, we're going to set up a sports league and do it like this, they'd look at you like you were crazy. And it's clearly driving people in the sport crazy. Like, to me, the canary in the coal mine was Jeff Halfley, who was the head coach at Boston College. By the way, setting up for our buddy Bill O'Brien to get a job. So good on him. But he left a head coaching gig at a Power 5 school to go be the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm sure the Packers pay well, but he was not shy about the fact that a big reason he took the job is because he's a football coach and he wants to coach football. That was the first words out of his mouth in the first 30 seconds of his introductory press conference in Green Bay. And so, to me, he was speaking probably for a lot of guys in the profession who may still be kicking around, but are not happy with the current state of affairs. I don't think in the long term, Ironhead, it serves the best interests of the players either. I don't think it's in anyone's best interests. I understand and agree with the need to financially compensate the players. Just the way we are doing it right now is nuts, and it's unsustainable. So I think they want to get this fixed as quickly as possible. And so, yeah, when you put it that way, these conversations have clearly already been going on probably for multiple years. I know Sean Clifford had a conversation with Kevin Warren back when he was commissioner of the Big Ten. That's how far we're going back, talking revenue share players. So there have been serious discussions about this going on for many years. So if they're close to putting something together and saying this is the deal, this is how we're going to do it, it wouldn't shock me if at least there's some sort of like staged rollout that starts this fall. So yeah, you might be right. And the other thing I don't know if people are even aware of, at Penn State and most, if not all, the other Big Ten schools, the players are already getting like some money every semester. It's called like a cost of living stipend. Now, again, it's for $5,000 or something, which is going to look like a pittance compared to what the revenue sharing numbers look like for a college football player at a big school like Penn State. But yeah, so you might not see the whole enchilada this fall, but yeah, maybe something in between where it's going to be and where it is now.
Well, and I think it is fair to say, and I think people think I'm talking about Penn State here when I say this stuff, and I'm not. This is across the board. I think NIL has been a disaster because the NCAA set it up wrong. I know, shocking. But you tell the schools that they can't have any control over it, which is basically what they did. They told the schools, you can't run this. Well, then they turn around and they slap down. Well, hey, you lost institutional control. Right, because you mandated that we lose institutional control over this part of it. And, one of the things and again, this isn't a Penn State thing. It isn't. I mean, it's Penn State is included in it, obviously, but this really is. It's a problem across the board. And one of the things, I mean, Goon has talked about pretty extensively the problems that this creates for fans, and how many times can you come back to the fans and say, boy, you're just not giving enough. We've got to give the athletes more. Again, fans are paying more in license fees, in just being a Nittany Lion Wrestling Club member or whatever the equivalent is at the different schools, and then more in parking, more in the actual tickets, all of this stuff. They're giving contributions. They're alumni association members, a whole lot of them, certainly at Penn State, a whole lot of them. And then here comes the NIL group saying, well, if you really want to be strong, you got to give more money. And even the folks that have the money to give, like at some point, it's okay, wait a second. How many different ways can you hit me up for money saying that this is the only way you can be competitive? And so I think if for no other reason, there is a sense of urgency within the SEC and the Big Ten schools, certainly, and again, I think across the board, that, hey, we've got to get some sort of revenue sharing in place, in part because I think they recognize, they clearly are hearing from a large segment of the fans that, guys, we are tapped out. Like, we are tired of you coming at us every other which way saying you need more money. at some point, and I get it. There's some bang for the buck there. There's different opportunities with the NIL. You get to mingle with the players and get to see some behind the scene things. I get it. But what the revenue sharing will allow, I believe, is, okay, we can do away with the collectives. I keep saying NIL. I'm really talking about the collectives that the universities have had to set up, because that element will be taken out. Now, you're still going to have agents. You're still going to have NIL opportunities, all of that stuff.
Sure.
But I think then you can get back to the athletic department can go to the donors, just one-on-one. Hey, we just need a contribution. You can sell the tickets. You can do the suites. And listen, people are going to complain. Prices are going to be too high, all of that. But you're back to a more normal world where, yep, we're asking the same stuff we've always asked, instead of we're asking all of that stuff as much as possible, and we need this extra, when, again, the fans are already giving with the gate and by watching the TV and supporting the folks that are advertising on there. Again, at some point, you've got to cut the fans a bit of a break. And to me, that's why I think there's probably a pretty strong sense of urgency within the hierarchy of the Big Ten and the SEC to, and I'm not saying it's going to be a big, tremendous break for the fans, but hey, we can't have, right now, Booch, like, you have alumni associations and the collectives in some cases, and again, not just at Penn State, this is across the board, you're fighting for the same dollars. Well,
and it's a limited, it's a finite pool of dollars, because to your point, Ironhead, yeah, look, not only we're buying the tickets and doing the Nittany Lion Club donations and the parking and we're buying groceries and filling up our car with gas, guys. Like, I don't know if the players are ultimately going to end up being legally employees or not, but there is no other model in the world where a company takes in revenue, does not pay its employees, and then goes to the customers and say, okay, now that you've bought our product, you have to donate money to our company so we can pay our employees. And so that's what's going on right now. NIL is being used as a de facto salary for the players. So you've already seen, Virginia just changed its law to allow the schools to bring the in-house NIL management in. And you're going to see every other state scrambling to do that as quickly as they can to get this thing under control. And then, like you said, once there is revenue sharing and there is a baseline for all of the players, then I can feel, okay, if I'm donating money to the athletic department, they're the ones, there's a centralized control over who needs the NIL money and how the deals are getting brokered. And so my donation is going to, okay, this very linear, at least got to be somewhat transparent process if it's a state school, and it's going to attract and retain the top talent. Right now, it's again, it's like Wild West. It's like, hey, look, please give us your $50 because we're going to lose our depth third string tackle. He's going to go play at Akron instead, and that just needs to be taken out of the game ASAP.
Yeah, and again, I think they are. My guess is working very hard to try to make that happen as quickly as possible. Now, how quickly that ends up being and what exactly it looks like, again, as always, the devil is in the details. That is going to wrap up our show for today, Goon. Hopefully, with the mouth intact, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll certainly be talking about the NFL, as Goon mentioned. They'll be releasing the full schedules tomorrow, and we'll certainly be talking about that on Thursday. Hopefully, we'll be talking about the big Pirate sweep of the Brewers, maybe the Phillies sweep of the Mets. I'd be okay with that.
Mini sweep of the Mets.
I'm okay with that. I'm not a New York fan, not a Phillies fan, but even less of a Mets fan. So I'd be okay with that. Phillies, again, still with the best record in Major League Baseball, even better than those LA Dodgers, if you can believe it. Again, we will be back on Thursday, folks. Until then, be good and be
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The